And developing tonight, a federal judge has about a week to rule on the legal status of dozens of international students who had their visas revoked.
The case filed in Georgia earlier this month is the largest case of its kind in the country. 11 Alive's Joe Ripley joining us now live from outside the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta. So, Joe, what's the latest update on this lawsuit against the Trump administration?
So, Jennifer, the judge temporarily restored legal status to the students involved in this lawsuit. And by May 1st, this judge is expected to rule whether these students will have that standing throughout the entirety of this case. The government is arguing here that they're simply enforcing immigration law. But for many of these students, their livelihoods are on the line.
So there's a level of anxiety for them still, but I think they have a real hope in this process.
Immigration attorney Charles Cook says the hopes of 133 students hang on a federal judge's ruling. Nearly 30 of them live in Georgia. Cook argues immigration officials wrongfully terminated student visas earlier this month without due process. The visa cancellations came after a federal student database called SEVIS flagged their records. Cook says the cancellations were based on minor offenses like traffic tickets.
These are legal immigrants in the United States doing what the law requires them to do. They are not deportable in any way, and yet the administration is going after them. That's tragic.
Last week, the judge reinstated the student's legal status temporarily. Within the next week, she will decide whether that legal status will stand through the duration of the case.
None of my clients plan to leave at the end of their time because they all get a work permission to stay in the United States for an additional year. They have a 60-day grace period in which they can find that job. And many of them are going to graduate school.
The U.S. attorney arguing the case in district court would not comment on camera, but Robert David Powell says he'd like for the judge to deny the reinstatement of legal status or for that legal status to end once that student graduates.
So for those that are fighting to stay, kudos to them. This takes a lot of guts to do this, and it takes a lot of courage to do this, to stand up to the U.S. government in the time of Trump.
Cook also plans to file a separate class action immigration suit that could include hundreds more students. As for this case here, the judge says she will issue her ruling by next Friday at midnight on whether these students will have their legal status restored through the duration of this case. Then this case will be able to proceed. The government will be able to be asked questions, but we understand that this case in its entirety could take months or even years to reach a resolution. For now, we're live outside the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.